trying to push for 50,000 subscribers here on GlobeTrotting, so if you hit that button, it would certainly mean a lot. Delta is a force to be reckoned with. The carrier is not only part of the big three within the United States, but it has also navigated the many ups and downs of the industry that we've seen in recent times, and now in 2024 remains a pretty solid option for travelers right around the world. However, many would argue that their operations with the Boeing 757, of all the aircraft that they have flown in the most recent decades, is very intriguing. Now, the airline first welcomed this narrowbody towards 1984 as a big one to replace the 727, which had been flying with them previously. To comprehend really why Delta remains hesitant to retire the 757 and adores it so much, we have to analyze the 757 operation, the positives, and much more. The 757 has a bit of a sweet spot, with several operational capabilities that have seen it succeed across high-profile, short and medium-haul routes. The 757's range has allowed Delta to connect destinations that might have been viewed as challenging with other aircraft in its fleet, and at a reasonable price. The capacity of the 757 has also made it easy for customers to fill, and has proved to be highly reliable for airlines such as Delta. When introducing the 757, I think the realization that the aircraft was substantially better off in terms of efficiency over the 727 really did become visible. In fact, Delta forecasted that efficiency was nearly 50% better across the board than that of the 727. Now remember, this massive change was only in a short period of time, and therefore really highlighted how far technology had come over time, and as we know, the industry would develop further, and that technology would considerably improve with time. Delta has flown the 757 now for around half a century, and as a result, the airline has built a very close relationship with the aircraft type. Ultimately, there are several reasons why an airline might want to avoid parting ways with an aircraft type that they adore so severely, but one of those for Delta that I do want to take the time to analyze is the lack of a direct replacement for the 757. That's been a problem for several decades, but I think you'd find analysts would argue it's been more than present now and towards the latter stages of the 2010s. Delta finds itself in a bit of a grey area. The 757's unique combination of capacity, range, and efficiency, at least back in the day, remains unmatched perfectly by other aircraft types that have adopted new technology. This leaves a bit of a void that Delta at least believes no other aircraft can fill seamlessly and perfectly. You'll recall twice before I said perfect replacement. Ultimately, for several airlines, there have been adequate replacements for the 757s. Still, there are some airlines that can't find that perfect replacement, and for Delta, that has relied on the aircraft type for so long across recent history, sources of mine close to the airline have on several occasions said it's a bit of a dilemma for the company. And despite a struggle to source aircraft that will perfectly replace the 757, Delta has committed in sheer numbers to the very popular A321neo series. In 2023, the A321neo was actually their best-selling plane at Airbus, which meant the middle ground A320neo, typically we see as the best, didn't attract as much interest as the 321. A substantial order, while fantastic, still has seen airline executives be vocal about the A321neo not really being a one-size-fits-all, if you will, solution for replacing the 757. The A321neo, yes, harbours fantastic efficiency levels, and also has modern features, and when factoring in the LR and the XLR, it is undoubtedly a fantastic step in the right direction for generally any major airline that is considering it. However, according to Delta, the assumption could definitely be made that acquiring the A321neo is, yes, a solution to the lack of a 757 replacement, but still can't be viewed as the perfect aircraft for them. Now, with all of that being said, it is worth noting that a carrier does need to learn to adapt to the changing industry, and sometimes may need help in understanding that the perfect aircraft for them isn't necessarily always available. It is about finding compromises and and finding an aircraft type that truly works. Beyond the operational considerations and really focusing in on the lack of a replacement that has, you'd argue, extended the life of the 757, there are other factors that need to be considered, including financial. With the 757s at Delta being paid off, this does alleviate the burden of certain costs the company could incur, say if it was leasing the aircraft on or attempting to introduce a new aircraft type. While new planes present great opportunities, the ability to fly the 757s for a little longer certainly comes with its benefits. Additionally, there are positive maintenance factors which work hand in hand with spare parts, and there also is the realization that there will be a point in time where the series does not work for them anymore. But for now, it does, and per analysts, the 757 has the best cost available per seat mile of any other aircraft in the narrow-body fleet. Before moving on to a bit of a conclusion, I do want to focus a little bit deeper on the idea that the 757 works now but won't always work. As these planes continue to age, there will be a need for a more scrutinized maintenance check. Costs will continue to go up, and maybe the idea that the 757s are truly profitable for them won't be something that continues on for the long term. That is where your next generation planes come into the equation, and potentially whatever Boeing is looking at releasing in the 2030s, but I do think many would argue to me, and maybe you as well, that it will be too late at that point. So looking ahead, the 757 will, yes, continue to act as a primary workhorse for the airline within the industry. Delta has outlined plans to retain the plane to the 2030s, with retirements slowly occurring. However, that still gives the type a significant period where Boeing can enjoy its capabilities. The 757, once it does depart the Delta fleet, will mark a new era for the airline as they say goodbye to a plane at that point that they may have been flying for around 50 plus years. What it will do though is remain an integral and also iconic part of Delta's broader history, and as stated in this video, there are definitely several reasons why an airline may look to retain the aircraft for longer than initially anticipated. This happens not just at Delta, but many airlines right around the world, and it can be for different aircraft types, and also for different reasons. But I would love to hear now your opinions down below in the comments. Do you actually believe that Delta's plan to retain the 757s for a much longer period is the right decision? I'd love to hear your takes down below in the comments. Whether you think the A321neo should simply be introduced into the fleet more rapidly and the retirement of the 757 should take place, or do you see the 757 being an irreplaceable type? Let me know. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Do be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It would certainly mean a lot. Take care and do also be safe. I will see you next time.